Hey guys! By the way, I'm Laura Stocco from Go to Health, and I am making a healthy peach crisp today, and I wanted to point out a few of the main ingredients to you, and really, there's not many ingredients in this at all. So, what I have as my sweetener of choice is sucanat, which is dehydrated sugarcane juice. So it's much more natural than white or brown sugar. Yes, sugar is still sugar at the end of the day. So will it have a blood sugar impact? Yes, it will. So be mindful of that. However, if you're going to use any kind of sweetener, this would certainly be a better choice than the white or brown or any other kind of sugar, really. So I'm going to put this up there so you can have a look there. You can kind of see that it's more granular, more grainy than regular sugar, a little bit thicker. And it tastes kind of like brown sugar. And you can use sucanat for any time a recipe calls for any kind of sugar. Even if a recipe calls for a part white and part brown sugar, I just use the sucanat for all of it. And it usually works out just fine. And when I'm creating my own recipes, it's typically the one that I use. Now I've also used maple syrup. So maple syrup and sucanat, yes, they're both sugar at the end of the day. So they're going to have kind of a blood sugar impact. But they have some minerals that white refined sugar lacks. So at least they are a little bit more natural, a little bit more healthy, and provide some minerals that our bodies can use. What I've used for the flour, so instead of using like a wheat flour or all-purpose or white flour that most people or most recipes will call for in a crumble, I've used almond flour. So I'm going to show you the one that I've used, although you can just get one from a bulk section at a health food store or at a bulk food store, and sucanat as well. I'm like, why am I showing this to you? Because I was going to say you can also get sucanat in bulk sections as well. So almond flour is way better for you than wheat flour because, let's face it, wheat flour, whether it's white, whole wheat, all-purpose, it's everywhere. It's in so many of those packaged foods. It's crackers, it's pasta, it's cookies, it's cake, it's pastries, it's so many different things. And then people go home and then they have homemade treats, but they use all-purpose flour again. So the more we have of this wheat in our bodies, the more likely we are to react to it. And even if you can't feel when you're digesting, if you can't feel the pain sometimes people get or the bloating or the gas from digesting wheat, even if you don't feel it, it does not mean that you're not sensitive to wheat. In fact, most of us, I would argue, are mostly due to the fact that it's everywhere, and also because wheat is different than it was even like 30 or 40 years ago. So the proteins have changed, they're harder to break down, and they tend to cause more reaction in our bodies. So almond flour is virtually ground almonds. Like, you can't get more natural than that. It's way better for blood sugar. It's way better for you, period. Now, I've also used butter in place of, some recipes would call for vegetable oil, some would call for margarine. I've used butter because it's way more natural, and let's face it, it obviously tastes delicious. But the reason I don't like to use vegetable oil or margarine, which is typically vegetable oil that it starts out with, which has been heated and modified so much to become this spreadable butter-like substance, it's just wrong. Vegetable oil in general, whether it's soybean or canola or corn oil, or sometimes it just says vegetable oil, which is like a blend of different ones, it's high in omega-6, and this is a pro-inflammatory fatty acid. So it tends to cause inflammation in our bodies more so than not. And omega-3, on the other hand, tends to be more anti-inflammatory. And while we need omega-6 in our diet, it's one of our essential fatty acids, we tend to get too much omega-6, mostly in the form of these processed packaged foods that contain this vegetable oil, and we tend not to get enough of the omega-3. So when we are looking at a recipe, I would so highly suggest using butter, or even coconut oil is a great alternative too, to the margarine or the vegetable oil. And again, no matter what a recipe calls for, you can always use butter or coconut oil in the same exact amount. I also have large flake oats in here. That kind of goes without saying. And I have cinnamon. So I put cinnamon both in the peaches, and I'm going to show you in a second, and I put cinnamon also in my dry ingredients. Well, kind of dry, but there's also butter and maple syrup. So it's kind of like a mixture. So cinnamon does have a blood sugar balancing effect. I mean, let's be honest, it won't be an amazing blood sugar effect because you're still having peaches, which are naturally high in, or a natural source of sugar, and you're having the sucanat and maple syrup. But having said that, adding cinnamon in, not only does it give it flavor, but yeah, it does help a little bit with your blood sugar balance, so it doesn't spike quite so high. And I think that's it for ingredients, so let me show you these guys. So there is what will be my crumble, and I have my peaches all sliced up there with cinnamon on top as well. So I'm going to put the crumble on the peaches, I'm going to put it in the oven, and it's going to be pretty delicious, I would say. So if you want the full recipe, check out my blog at gotohealth, G-O-T-O health.ca. Just click on the search and press peach crisp, or type in peach crisp and you'll find it there. Or depending on where you're watching this video, there's very likely a link below the video that will take you right there. I hope you enjoy your day.